Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. And this is the Book of Vibes, all about vibes. And today I'm going to talk about ownership vibes and the pros and cons of buying off plan property. So, I got a lot of questions about the process of buying off plan, the cost, da, 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 da. Honestly, I really don't feel comfortable like referring people or talking about the developer and stuff, only because number one, the developer is not paying me to talk about them. But number two, like, just because they were good to me doesn't mean they'll be good to the next person. Like, I have to see consistency. And so I'll never feel comfortable like referring. It's not like I'm trying to gatekeep. I'm just now getting here in Kenya. And so I have to have a relationship in order for me to be like vouching and giving them my okay, and for someone to be like, oh, well, the Book of Vibes says such and such. So, but I can talk about my personal experience, right? And so that is what I'm going to do. I did write down my pros and cons because I do get to rambling and stuff. So, first, before we get into the pros and cons, let's talk about what off plan buying is. And so, buying off plan is when you purchase a property before it's fully built. You're buying based on plans and renderings, not a finished apartment, and you usually pay in stages while it's being constructed. So, like in the US, we have things like new construction properties, but the difference is like when you buy new construction property in the US, you usually have to pay for it already, like get your home loan or whatever. For buying off plan, in my experience overseas, and particularly Kenya, it seems like you're kind of investing in the developer's dream. And so your return on the investment is that you're getting it at a price lower than what it's going to cost once it's sold completely, which is a pro, but we'll get into that. So yeah, like buying off plan, it is a new construction, but it's not like the same process of a new construction built in the US. So let's get into the pros. One of the biggest pros of buying off plan is that you do not need the full purchase price up front. It's good to have a like hella money up front because, say for instance, like my properties were running for 7.5 million Kenyan shillings to like 25 million Kenyan shillings, which is like roughly around 60,000 USD to like 100 and something thousand USD. So, like for instance, say you wanted one that was like 10 million and you had 8. You might have been able to get away with that because you had the money up front. But a lot of people, like myself, I didn't have the money up front. So I did a plan where I put 40% down and then signed an agreement to pay the rest off within 2 years. So it depends on when you enter the development. Like if you're early on in the development phase, then you can go, I think you may be able to get away with a lower down payment and like a longer period. But the further in they are, like the more, I think, this is just my assumption, that you have to pay. Um, so yeah, how much you pay really depends on when you come into the project. Another big pro is the price. So like I said, when you're buying off plan, it's way cheaper than what you would pay for once it's completed because I feel like it's like an investment. So for instance, like a lot of the property that I'm living in now, the now that it's almost complete, because my property isn't even fully complete, but now that it's almost complete, some of the properties already reselling for 2 million more Kenyan shillings than what it was bought for off plan in the beginning. So um, the price is definitely the pro. So it's good, like if you want to live here, like if you want to live in the off plan property, it's good because you don't have to pay full price. But it's also good if you're into like flipping, because it's like, okay, I'm going to put in this money and I'm going to guarantee to get, something back. So right now people are selling it and getting an extra 2 mil. 5 or 10 years more down, when it's fully complete, they're probably going to get more than an extra 2 mil on it. So that is one of the pros. It also depends on the location, right? So like my apartment is a beachfront apartment, so I think that it's probably going to sell higher than a place that's maybe not the beachfront, but it doesn't really matter. Just if it's a good location, then you'll be able to get more flipping it. Either way it goes, you're going to make more money buying it. I mean, selling it once it's complete than what you paid for when it was in development or whatever. One other cool thing that surprised me, I don't know if this is because it was off plan or what, but like my buildings are kind of like there's some that are high rise and low rise, so the price for like something on the 12th floor is the same price for something on the second floor. Like your view, like your height view didn't matter, like penthouse or whatever. Maybe like up high, they have some that are like penthouse. Maybe they were more, but like literally the second floor and the 12th floor were the same price. And the only difference in pricing was the closer you are to the ocean. That's all they cared about. Like the whole unit is oceanfront, but there are some units where like when you go out, the sand will hit your face from the ocean. So those ones were way more expensive than the ones further back, but they all have beach access. So like location of the development really matters too. The cons. The number one con is getting conned. It's not funny, but like I've heard a lot of stories about people getting conned. However, I've heard way more stories about people not getting conned than people getting conned. But that's just like the number one risk of buying off plan is like you have to do your due diligence. Like I hired my own Kenyan lawyer. I hired my own land surveyor. My Kenyan lawyer reviewed the documents that the developer's lawyer sent. My surveyor went in and looked at the property to make sure it was up to code. So I visited the property. So you really have to do your own due diligence when buying the property. I always advise to get your own lawyer, and I have a good lawyer. So if you guys want their information, you can have it. But yes, another major con is delays. So whatever the completion date they give you, just know that you need to add a couple more years on there because they're not going to be done by the completion date. Like, so if you're in a rush for a specific date, and like buying off plan and you plan on living there, buying off plan may not be the best option for you, but yeah, the completion date is never the completion date. And I don't know if this is true. I'm just assuming, but I feel like your apartment or your home isn't done until you're fully paid off. So like for instance, once mine was fully paid off, that's when I started to get like, oh, your apartment's done, da 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 da. But when I came here, the whole apartment complex wasn't done. There were some people whose were done, and then there were some whose weren't. So I feel like they don't really like go hard for you until it's paid off. So that's another like con that you should be aware of, like especially if you're buying in like an apartment complex or in a community. Just know that just because your unit is done doesn't mean that the whole place is done. Like I'm literally living in like a construction site, so like a lot of the things are done. Our restaurant just got up, our gym just got up, a lot of the units are done, people are living here, pool is up or whatever. But there are units that are not complete, and they said they probably won't be complete until March. So keep that in mind as well. So yeah, time or whatever is not the right time. Again, I think it's a great option for someone who may be retiring or you want to flip it. But if you have like a strict like date of when you're trying to move, unless the off-plan property is close to completion, and even then, I'm telling you, add 3 years to that. I'm not even over-exaggerating. Another important con is the cost. I know I said the cost was a pro, which it is a pro because you're buying it for way less than what it's going to be worth once it's complete. However, yesterday's price is not today's price, meaning you're going to pay more than what you paid on that sticker. And it's only because, like, in Kenya, for example, with my experience, it doesn't come with, like, stuff like the U.S. Like, it doesn't come with the full kitchen. So you have to pay for that. And then the finishings aren't great. So, like, my finishings aren't horrible, but they're not, like, great. And so I found out, like, oh no, if you want those extra finishings and, like, the molding on the walls and stuff like that, that's an extra cost. That they're just giving you the bare. Like, they're giving you running water, running whatever, outlets. They did give me, like, my shelving and stuff for my kitchen, the floors, you know, the basic. They're giving you a basic thing and you build it up. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do in my place. I'll show y'all in another video, but I need an interior decorator or something. But yeah, so, and then you pay taxes and fees. I think I paid a good, like, close to another 1 million Kenyan shillings on, like, just stuff to make it look nice. It's livable, but, you know, if you're paying all this money for a new property, you want it to look beautiful. So, and then the taxes and fees, like I said, it's just not the price that you think it is. So if it says 10 mil, think about paying 11 or 12 at the end of the day. It just is a bit closing costs, things like that. Same things in the U.S., but just be aware that there are closing costs and hitting costs. The last con, I would say, which is not really a con, but for me, because I like to own my own shit, is that if you're a foreigner, you have a 99-year leasehold. So you don't technically really own it. So in 99 years, you have to, in 99 years, you have to renew it or whatever. But, I mean, it's kind of the same in the U.S., right? Like, yeah, you get a 25, 30-year mortgage, but that doesn't, like, a lot of people end up paying on their house for way longer than that. So it's kind of the same concept, but to me, that's a con because I want to own my shit, you know? So overall, like, for me, the pros outweigh the cons, though. Like, I would never get a place like this in the U.S. for the price that I did. And even if I don't stay in Kenya for a long period of time, I always have a property I can go to. Like, I follow, like, this guy, I think his name is Ramsey, and he was like, to have, like, a holiday home, you shouldn't take a loan out, right? So when I was thinking about buying the property in Kenya, I looked at it as like a holiday home, and I didn't want to take a loan out. But in America, I would have had to. You know, I wasn't making that much and didn't have that much saved, and that had just been a long process for me. So, like, in Kenya is just one of my places that I really like. I didn't invest in Kenya because Kenya is in Africa. I invested in Kenya because it's really one of my favorite places to be. Like, if everything that was in Kenya was in the US or Europe or South America, it would be the same. But Kenya to me is just, it's a growing country. And it's a beautiful country, and it's a safe country. I mean, every country has its problems. No country is perfect, but I just really like, this is just like one of my favorite places to be. I like black places. And yeah, like some of my favorite places to visit are like Oakland, California, Washington, D.C., Kenya. I do like Jamaica. What else did I really like? Those are like my top places that I've been. But Kenya is just like number one. Great food, great people, great weather. And thanks to my ancestors who survived the transatlantic slave trade, survived America, and gave me an opportunity to work and save, I was able to reinvest that money back into Africa. And the country I chose in Africa was Kenya. And I'll make another video on why I did not buy off plan in Ghana, because I have been there. But yes, so that's my pros and cons of off plan. And yeah, I really like Dave Ramsey. I was just like listening to him one day, and he was talking about holiday homes, and I was like, you know what, you're right, Dave. I'm not gonna go and get another mortgage for this. Some people were like, I should have took a second mortgage out on my home that I have back in the States. I have a multi-family unit in the States. They're like, oh, take it out. I'm like, but Ramsey said not for a vacation, so go do your off plan and pay it off. All right, and so that's it.